Hello and welcome to another episode of My Mom's Basement presented by Barstool Sports and 3G. I am your host, Robbie Fox, or am I? And this is my co-host, Clem, or is it? No, we're going to cut this in the bud right now. This is Robbie Fox, this is Clem, and we have not been Skrulls since Civil War. We are here to talk about the finale of Secret Invasion, which was controversial, Clem, to say the least. It is the lowest rated Marvel project ever on Rotten Tomatoes. It has, I think, 13% as of this recording. It wasn't really well received by the internet, and I would say it wasn't super well received by the Basement Boys. Am I right about that?
Nope. I haven't seen the internet this mad about a Marvel project since when Secret Invasion used the AI stuff to draw the opening or whatever. People were really mad about that. Remember? That seems like a picnic right now. Kevin Feige's probably going back to all those angry hate mail messages and voicemails he got because it's burning. It's burning out there right now. It's not fun, but I have to say it's well earned by Marvel. Because Basement Boys, we always try to see the good in these things. We try to like hype ourselves up saying, all right. And I do think the beginning of Secret Invasion, we had some moments and we're like, all right, this is what it's going to be. And then we had like one big scroll reveal, which happened like a couple episodes ago. And the paranoia wasn't really there. I don't know about the secret. So this is it. I'm not a big comics books guy in terms of I didn't read a lot of different comic arcs over the year. I read my comics. I was an X-Men guy, a couple other things along the way. Secret Invasion is like the lamest fucking arc of all time in my mind right now because all I know is the show. And the show is like, Rhodey's a Skrull, a tier 3, maybe 4 Avenger when it comes down to it. And that was the big reveal. And, Nick Fury slinging his ding-a-ling in a Skrull as well. That was it. He married a Skrull.
Yeah, I think they completely went off base in terms of like the comic book storyline. And this, I saw some articles like Marvel has a problem in that they refuse to hire MCU fans. Like if you're a fan of the comics, they try to maybe shy away from that. They specifically told the writers of this Secret Invasion, don't even read that Secret Invasion. Like we're not doing that. So I don't know what the purpose of the show was in the end. Like in the beginning, I agree. We had some moments of potential. When you kill off Maria Hill in episode 1, I'm like, oh shit. They're showing us some stakes. They're showing us they're willing to kill people off. I thought the first scene was incredible with that guy that was like, Skrull. Remember he had the lisp and he was trying to sell him on it? That was awesome. So I was very much thinking this could be Marvel's mature step up into espionage and thriller and political thriller. Wasn't much politics. I never really felt the stakes of World War III. I saw an article, I think it was comicbook.com, said Peacemaker did Secret Invasion much better than Secret Invasion. And that really like resonated with me because I was like, man, I felt the stakes of when you find out the leader of their team, spoilers for Peacemaker, but whatever. When you find that out, I felt that in my chest more than I ever felt World War III or a million Skrulls invading Earth in Secret Invasion. So yeah, it just kind of fizzled out. I feel like they lit a match in the beginning and it burnt out real quick. And the finale was just, I always try to be positive on these things. I watched the whole finale with this look on my face. It was like this. If you're not watching on YouTube, it's a bit of a cringe because between the CGI and the choices they were making, I felt like they were half breaking the MCU and half putting that $212 million that went into this show to very bad use. I don't know if the artists were rushed again and it was a VFX problem, but man, that was what the She-Hulk finale was making fun of with the CGI fight in the end.
Suddenly the She-Hulk finale, you go back to that and you just watch that scene, you're like, oh, this hits even better now than it did a couple months ago, right? And I mean, we know how people have felt about She-Hulk. We know how people felt about this. We had Miss Marvel. We had different things along the way. It got to the point where I was happy it was 37 minutes. I saw 37 minutes of the finale. I was like, this is probably for the best here. I was kind of happy about it. I'm like, hey, maybe they wrap it up perfectly, but I just don't want to have an hour. And then I'm like, I can't believe I wasted an hour of my life. I wasted 33 minutes of my life or whatever it was. I can't believe I'm saying this. Bob, we've been in the basement together for a very long time here. We've gone through a lot of projects. We've done a lot of podcasts. And I never thought I'd say this, but I have to say it. I have to. It's a sacred fucking phrase, and it's a sacred word that begins with. I'm going to say it. I don't trust the Feige anymore.
No.
I can't trust the Feige when you keep giving me bad fucking TV shows. And there have been some good TV shows. I know there's people who like this TV show, and I'm not going to say this was like the worst TV show ever. I think it had its moments. I think like Sonya I'm so happy she's in the MCU. I'm happy.
Thank God they kept her alive. Oh.
Yes. Oh, that would have been bad. I thought the actor play graphic was pretty fucking cool for like until they just completely like wrote his character like a fucking doofus. The idea of having Rhodey as a Skrull was cool until he started going like, kill the Russians. He was like a fucking like comically like pure evil villain, and the bum ass president can't sniff it out, or like the admiral that was in the room. He's just talking shit on everybody, saying stupid pills. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here right now? So after all this, man, I just can't trust the Feige. Like, if you go back and listen to the podcast, there was a lot of times where shows were like, all right, we like this, but we didn't like this. We like that, but we didn't like that. Loki was awesome. I really liked WandaVision, even though, again, at the end of WandaVision, I'm like, well, that it kind of suffered from the old, what we call the True Detective season 1 problem, where Reddit made a better show than the actual showrunners did. But there is just a lump of bad TV shows. And listen, you make a bad movie, a couple bad movies, I can live with it. It's like 2 hours, hour and a half. Hopefully. I mean, let's cut down on the fucking runtimes with the movies at this point, too. We don't need 2.5, 3 hour Marvel movies. You really don't, especially if they're not going to be fucking Infinity War, Guardians 3, whatever you want to call it level. But like going through every single week, and maybe this is because we're doing the pod as well, so then it's like double dipping because you're doing it and then you're recapping it. But at some point, man, like I just can't keep watching bad shit and being like, all right, keep feeding me this fucking slop here, Kevin. So this is the first time I don't trust the Feige, and I'm actually I think I wrote it in the blog a few weeks ago. I'm happy Bob Iger was like, listen, we're gonna pump the brakes on Star Wars and Marvel content, probably because they can't just keep writing off like billion-dollar fucking entities as they hemorrhage money out of Disney Plus. But like, where the fuck in that show did $221 million go?
Again, I hope it just means in the actors' pockets. I hope it just means that everyone was getting the bag for doing this show, but it screams money laundering scheme. It's crazy.
We've uncovered a scandal of
mattress firm MCU. It's crazy.
Dramatic universe. Oh.
Now, I trust the Feige. I'm going to say that. I still trust the Feige. I understand why you don't. I think we need, like, for the next year or the next whatever amount of projects, we need to make like a report card. Like the Marvels, I think, is the next project. Also, you know what worries me? The way they wrap up Secret Invasion does not lead me to believe that they're going to reference it pretty much ever again, other than Gaia. I think Gaia will probably join like the Thunderbolts or a team like that. But I don't know, because
do you think it's
fucking
important?
Broke everything.
Do you think it's important they reference the strongest character we've ever seen in the history of the cinematic universe? They're like, she's like Captain Marvel if she was also the Hulk, if she was also the Guardians, if she was like, what the fuck happened this series? And Secret Invasion, people were like, it was a complete mindfuck. Every time you're opening the comic book, you didn't know who was going to turn. You couldn't trust anybody. And at this point, I'm just like, all right, there's going to, like, I don't know. Fury's definitely Fury. He's acting kind of funky. And obviously the whole, switch during the finale was one thing. But like, what are we doing here, man? And listen, that was the other thing. The Marvels, and Heavy Spoilers reference this a lot, and it's a fair point. Did you really need to come out with the Marvels trailer with Nick Fury in it a week before, there's a chance Nick Fury might die, which I honestly thought going into it, like there's a chance, like Samuel L's getting old. It feels like, they're kind of taking this to another level. I didn't think it was going to happen, but there was a possibility. And it's like, oh no, he's clearly in the fucking next movie that is coming out for them. So what are we doing here, man? And I wrote this the other day too, and this just comes mostly for the shows. And the Gen V trailer came out, which is the Boys spinoff, and it looks awesome. And I'm like, I think it's still going to be good. And then I'm thinking about it. I go, every episode of the Boys feels like a mini movie. There's like a beginning, a middle, and end. It keeps you entertained the entire time. And I'm like, how can the Boys this completely different brand make a good TV show every episode. There's not a time where I'm like, man, that was a waste of my hour. Every time I am like fucking locked in on the boys and ready to binge and go to the next one. Yet with Marvel, it's like, shit. I just hope we get something as cool as Shooter McGavin showing up in the MCU.
I mean, Marvel is at this point, you feel like you hope you get a good couple episodes per show. I feel like Miss Marvel, we were happy about getting like a good first episode and finale. We were like, we got 2 good ones out of it. Wow. She-Hulk, we got that Daredevil one, and we like the finale as well. But
they're like baseball players. It's like if you bat 333, you're a Hall of Famer, and that's basically what the MCU has become. That's crazy.
And as far as the shows go, it feels like WandaVision and Loki were the only ones that were truly like important to the MCU, right?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens with Falcon and Winter Soldier, but that even kind of.
But even in that show, it's like the whole story arc was him getting the shield, which he was given at the end of Endgame. So they did a couple back steps and then they did a couple forward steps. John Walker will come back, and it's tough. I mean, Loki's the only one with like a great finale, I think, that felt like it had consequences on the universe.
The Loki finale, like, brought it up a level in my mind. So you see that and you're like, when you think of Loki now, you think of that last scene, which like their greatest moment is because of a guy who they're probably like, how the fuck do we get out of this contract and like the 7 movies that we have his character's name in it right now, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they're taking losses on shit that isn't even technically their fault. So it's a wild. I'm gonna be interested to see how Feige digs himself out. You're trust to Feige. I am no longer trust to Feige. I do not. What's the opposite of trust? Distrust. I guess I don't actively distrust the Feige. I am just like, hey, Feige, what's up, man? So it's, you know what it is? Okay, so it's if I distrust the Feige more, but being your Cap, I'm Tony Stark, and like the Winter Soldier is kind of Feige in this point.
Yeah.
You're like, I see the good in him, Clem.
Yeah.
I'm like, this fucking guy, Rob, do I gotta like show you the finale of Secret Invasion again? So it'll be
is that him killing your mom?
He basically did. That 37 minutes was basic. No, you know what? Quantumania was the killing of my mom. That would hurt a lot too. So because we have to lump some of the bad movies in with it all as well. And I can't be like, oh well, he had Guardians 3. Guardians 3 was written before they fired James Cameron. What's his name?
No,
James Gunn. Yeah, not James Cameron. We don't say the C word around here.
Yeah, that's our C word. But yeah, the Gaia breaking the MCU thing. Another thing I wanted to mention about that, when they give her the Drax arm, that was one of the worst visuals I've ever seen. And also, I was confused about this, and I also saw tweets about it. Why did she have Drax's tattoos? That's not part of his fucking powers, right?
It's just strong guy Drax, and it looked like a baby arm, even though Drax is fucking an enormous person. It was just weird. And this is a fair point. Someone said it. Could it be the curse of Emilia Clarke? You put Emilia Clarke in a big brand and everything seems like it's good, and then the finale comes and everyone's just like, fuck you, because it's just Thrones 2.0 basically is what happened there.
I feel bad, but we need an endgame version of Secret Invasion where they go back to not save her, but save Talos.
Yes.
Because he felt like he died for nothing as well. Like, why did you kill him and Maria Hill in this show? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I almost feel like the executive was like, all right, so I need to have like 3 big moments that happen. I need to have 3 this, 3 that. And they're like, all right, so Talos, which by the way, you're $1 to the St. Jude. I've realized
they got to give it back. Yeah,
because people say it different ways. I think Sonia says
Olivia Colman says it,
and Gravik
Talos.
Says yeah. So she comes through.
I was saying it the British way though, so St. Jude can keep my dollar.
Yeah, you were like thinking of the Oasis. You were acting like the Gallagher brothers or something. You just had a little accent on it. That's fine. But they're like, yeah, well, Maria Hill dies and Talos dies, and one other thing, and then like give me some action scenes. Well, we're gonna turn Gaia and Nick Fury's wife into fucking commandos in her house. That's going to be awesome. You guys are going to love that. And yeah, and I honestly think it fell flat. And I'm sure we're going to get it with people who liked it or maybe even loved it. That was tough.
Yeah. You know what's not tough is the ticket purchasing process with Game Time,
True.
the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. We love Game Time. Created by fans for fans, Game Time is the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, shows, and more. They guarantee the lowest price as well. There's a ton of stuff coming up with Game Time. You've got festival season, Drake, Morgan Wallen, Dead and Company, all on tour right now. Pup Punk's basically about to go on tour. Mets, Yankees, anything you want on Game Time. They've got WWE tickets. I just got some tickets on Game Time for SummerSlam. I'm going next weekend. Can't wait.
Oh.
It's all possible with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found in the seats you never thought you could buy. The purchase process just takes 2 taps and 10 seconds. Once you buy your tickets, they're delivered directly to your phone. No printer needed. And the app also allows you to easily share tickets via friends, with friends via text, so you can get into the game seamlessly. Skip the hassle and enjoy the moment. Download the Game Time app or go to their website, enter your email, and redeem the code MMB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. It really is the easiest thing ever. Can't wait for SummerSlam. Going to Detroit, Ford Field. It's going to be awesome. Back to a thing that you mentioned, Rhodey just being an absolute.
Robbie's just like taking the body back. He's like, all right, now we're going to kick the shit out of his body for
One
another
more
20
thing.
minutes.
One more thing about this fucking Rhodey thing. You mentioned he's just a villain in this show, like straight up acting completely different than we've ever seen Rhodey act. He's always been a pretty even-keeled, like sensible guy. And then in this, he's like, Mr. President, this, that, the next thing. Fuck the Russians. Fuck this guy. Get this guy's clearance out of the room. Like horrible change in character dynamic if you're going to tell us that he has been a Skrull since Civil War, which I think the ending implies with him in the hospital gown that he was in Civil War, and he's kind of, learning how to walk again. I don't know if that's just because he was in the, Skrull holding chamber for so long, but it really ruins that scene with Nebula in Endgame if he was a Skrull. Like, there's not a ton that it completely ruins. I'll give you that because he is, like you said, like a lower tier Avenger, I guess. But that scene with Nebula where they each talk about being, part machine and having to learn to live with that. Come on, man. And they were kind of pussies about how they revealed it. I'm going to say that too, because they took a half measure they just kind of implied like, oh, how long have you been in there? A long time. So I think they'll be able to retcon it now that the fans have clearly voiced their opinion that we don't like this.
The writers of Armor Wars, which I'll be honest, our writers of Armor Wars, I'm not really excited to see your project right now. I kind of hope, again, I think everything that was going to be a movie should be a show, and a show of like 3 episodes, and every show should now be a special presentation that takes an hour. So give me an hour Armor Wars, and in that, tell us that Rhodey, after the events of Endgame, was in the hospital because they all got their asses just absolutely beat, right? Because you take away the Tony Stark funeral, right? You take away the moment with Nebula. You take away the fact that they were fighting it. He was protecting the Earth in Infinity War, and you're kind of just killing the character at this point. You just make his best moments basically just like, see ya. So you might just bring back Terrence Howard at that point.
And someone brought up, I guess, that he bled in Endgame. So they were like, no, he can't be a Skrull because he had like red blood in Endgame. But I'm pretty sure Gravik in like episode 1 had red blood as well. So they were muddy about the details of Skrull reveals as well. So Gravik, I can't believe they killed him too.
Okay, so that's the other thing here. They made this character that seemed like it was pretty cool. He had the first half of Gravik, you're like, all right, I kind of see where he's coming from, which is why when every villain thrives is when you understand. Yep. Obviously, my dog Thanos, Magneto's thing is like he has seen such the evils of humanity. You can't even blame him for fucking despising them. And then Gravik, it's like, yeah, not only is his species just getting like put through the ringer, but like his father figure after both his fucking parents died just abandoned him. And we have this like, oh shit, that moment in the museum, right? Where they're kind of going back and forth.
Yep.
The actor rules. The Gravik actor is awesome. So his name is Kingsley Ben-Adir, right?
Yep.
I'm calling it right now. I called it with Eddie and you on the Barbenheimer podcast, and I'm putting on the record right now. That guy is going to win an Oscar. That guy is going to win an Oscar within 10 years. So by June 28th, 2033, he will have a fucking nice shiny Oscar on his shelf. to do with him that whatever they did with him in these last couple episodes was criminal. It was criminal, man. And I know, like, at this point, I'm almost at the point where I'm like, all right, just eliminate the scrolls from our lives, but like, we're going to fucking space next. They're going to be a big part of space as well. So it's like you kind of just wasted this character. You gave him every fucking power of all the Avengers, and then he just got watched. It like, I don't even want to rewatch the show because I'm just going to get angry watching his scenes.
Yeah, and I felt like he actually had good scenes in the finale in terms of like the actor was very good in his monologue with like Fury where they're in the chamber secrets scrolls thing. But killing him, it was one of the main things I said to Devlin. I was talking to Devlin in the office, one of our friends at Barstool, and he said, "What do you want the finale to do?" before it came out. And I said, I want them to keep Gravik alive and just make him the Super Skrull. So at least this show feels like it had consequences and that we watched it for something. Even with Vara at the end, when he's like, "You want to come up to space with me?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'll come up, but I got to leave immediately." I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. I cringed and rolled my eyes because I was like, that just means she's not in the Marvels, which people have now come out, like leakers or whatever, have come out and said, yeah, she ain't referenced. She ain't in the Marvels. So it's just like, sure, if you want to look at this in the lens of, hey, we never thought we would get a Nick Fury-led show with a couple more cool Nick Fury scenes, good back and forth with Samuel L. Jackson and some A-list actors, or, you know, A-list level in terms of their ability. Good. If you're looking at it in terms of like, was this supposed to set up the Marvels or Captain America New World Order or Brave New World or whatever, or Thunderbolts? I don't know. There's still not a lot of connectivity in this phase of the MCU. And it is getting a little frustrating. Like, do I think this deserves 13% on Rotten Tomatoes? No, right. It doesn't. It's, you know, it's not a good finale. It's one of the worst finales, I would say, out of their shows. I would put it towards the bottom, but I would still rather watch this than a lot of other stuff. I think just, it's not fatigue, but it's people are beat down by these shows meaning nothing. And I don't know, like, we all thought they would mean so much more from how WandaVision and Loki were hyped, essentially.
If it's almost as if they could have just self-contained these shows and made them good and then figured out how to make everything come together with the next Avengers movie.
Yeah.
You could have lived with that, but it's like they weren't really good. And you're like, all right, but it's going to mean more. And then it didn't mean more. And then like WandaVision, when they pulled the old Quicksilver okey doke on us, looking back at that, was a goddamn wild move. They called
him Boner.
They called him Boner.
They're like, his name's Boner. Isn't that funny? And we were like, no.
Now, do you think that the reception, or maybe which again, Rotten Tomato scores are so silly because it just becomes like a place where you can, you know, vent your fury, for lack of a better term.
Nice.
If this was released like 2 years ago, right after WandaVision or maybe after Loki, and everyone's not like so burnt out with the MCU, do you think people wouldn't be as mad? But this is kind of like, again, you throw this and Ant-Man together, and those are two projects I thought were going to be through the fucking roof, and they both just completely flopped. Then people are like, all right, get the pitchforks out, light the torches. We're going to go fucking stage an internet fucking rally here. It's crazy. And now, Bob,
I think,
looking back, did Marvel know? Because remember, we're like, they're not promoting this at all. They haven't put it anywhere, and they usually are hammering you over the head where they're like, look, we're already like 221 million in the hole in this thing. Let's not spend a dime and hope maybe they just even forget. And then we could just make a real Secret Invasion in a couple of years when we actually hire people that know what they're talking about here.
Like, I would not be surprised if this just disappeared from Disney Plus and they wrote it off. I honestly wouldn't. And I feel bad for Jose Youngs, our friend, who I don't think he's watched it yet. I think he was waiting for it all to come out.
Oh God, no.
He was so excited. He was breathing so deep his mic was blowing out when we told him Secret Invasion was going to become a show. He was like, you guys don't understand this story. Like, you guys. And I almost want to text him and be like, dude, no, don't do it.
So you're not going to like it. I'm torn on this. The friend in me wants to do that because we like Jose. He's a friend of the basement. The Barstool content, the Portnoy part of my brain, that loves to see other people, get their hearts ripped out. I kind of want to like watch a live stream of Jose watching like this like 4 hours of television and breathing in like that way, but in like pure anger,
Anger, yeah.
So,
it sounds like he's breathing, but it's actually the steam coming out of his ears that you're hearing. Another thing, no post-credit scene.
Oh, so I heard that someone hit us up on Twitter. And
like,
a few people did. We're like,
and respect to those people.
Yeah.
I appreciate you at least like bracing the fall.
Because once like the credits roll, I'm like, I could turn this hunk of junk off and just I threw my TV out the window. I was like, now I'm done for the day. I was like, all right. But I said, I was mad before it even happened because I'm like, you know what? And I kind of convinced myself of this. I said it a few episodes ago. I'm like, I'm pretty sure like the biggest moment of the whole goddamn season is going to take place in the post credits. It's kind of always been Nick Fury's thing anyway. And then they just don't even have it after that finale. And I'm like, now you're just fucking with me. Now you're just trying to see how much you can piss me off here.
And like, it's tradition in a way. Like the only Marvel movie or project that I'm aware of without a post-credit scene is the friggin' Endgame. And maybe, I don't know if this special Werewolf by Night and Guardians, I don't remember if those have post-credit scenes.
Yeah, but like it would be weird to have a post-credit scene in Endgame. I think that's like they tied it up and they give their
I totally get why they didn't. Yes.
Exactly.
This one was just like, this is literally the show where you're like teasing and paranoia, and apparently there's going to be scrolls and shit in Brave New World. I've heard the Marvels basically is like completely unrelated to this show and basically treats it like it never happened. What's going on there?
What if, what's crazy as it sounds? I'm thinking about it just out loud, the way our Marvel fans' brains work. And I completely admit that we're like, kind of, I don't want to say idiots, but like we're fanatics and we just get hyped about things. If that post-credit scene had been a reveal, like, let's see, who's a big MCU character, who's a big hero right now, who's like one of the biggest heroes in Doctor Strange. I don't know if you can really do with Doctor Strange, someone on that level, like Black Panther. Like, this is the problem.
Captain Marvel herself.
Maybe it's hard to do because we did lose like our chunk of our big guys, right? And then like Thor, I don't know, but say they just like they're like Thor like shows up and he turns into a Skrull. Everyone's like, oh my god, Thor is a Skrull, and that would have just led the story instead of like, and it would have been like 113% Rotten Tomatoes, even though it would have made no fucking sense and he wasn't in the show for a minute, people would have just been going crazy. It would have been absolutely stupid. But
they kind of tried that with Eternals, didn't they? They were like, I don't know how audiences are going to like this. Fucking Harry Styles. Throw Harry Styles at it.
Yep. Eternals
is he ever going to get referenced again, too? Like, there are certain characters that pop up that you're like, are they going back to these people at any point? Because now this feels like these movies came out years ago,
right? And nothing. They've just been collecting dust essentially.
I think they said it's going to be like at least 5 or 6 years before we get a Shang-Chi sequel, and it's like, are people going to remember the first movie by then?
I don't even remember the first movie. I try to think of the first movie. So I was going through this phase in my head and being like the highs and lows. And Shang-Chi was another one where it had some hits, it had some misses, but like I've had a good feeling about the character, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I remember the fight scene on the thing. I remember Wong showing up. I remember the bracelets being cool. I actually liked the little fantasy world. I think it was hit or miss for people. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's about it. In like 6 years, this brain, you see me on the dozen. This brain doesn't fucking just keep everything like a steel trap. We're in trouble.
Remember that little pillow guy? That's gonna be it for me. The no post credit scene really pissed me off when every other show has had one. I also had a thought. Why not give the entire role of Rhodey in this show to Sharon Carter? I feel like it would make more sense with her to be like, in the government because of her family history and her history in S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever. We know that she's a bad guy already because of the power broker stuff. So that's not like we were looking at Rhodey the whole show with a side eye because we were like, why is he acting bad? He's not bad. Oh, he must be a Skrull. What if you reveal Sharon Carter as a Skrull in the show? I think that's a better reveal. I think it actually has stakes. I think it actually matters. And it starts tying things together. Yeah, you start bringing things together, at least with the shows. This was just like, I don't know, man. It left me cringing. It left me confused. I tweeted, "Who approved that?" Like Kevin Feige, he better not have been in the room when that got approved. He better have been on PTO, some vacation time. I hope he was at Avengers campus in Disneyland or something. Cause yikes.
Holy shit! I think I just cracked the case. Do you
What?
think Kevin Feige is a Skrull? Do you think he's been replaced?
Oh.
Because there's no way the guy responsible for everything that led to all the events of the Infinity Saga and Infinity War and Endgame just allowed this last like couple years of stuff to come out. So I think he might. Now we have to kind of go, all right, when did he become a Skrull? It was definitely after Endgame. It was a post-Endgame Skrull.
It's post Spider-Man, I think. No, Far From Home. That was the first one after Endgame. That was good. Yep. Black Widow was after that, and they started getting into a conflict with ScarJo.
Yep.
That's no good.
Would you put it past Disney to have Skrulls in their midst too? I wouldn't.
No.
Like, when they're talking,
they probably working in the tunnels of Disney.
Yes,
just wheeling stuff around. Like that's probably why they told us no pictures when you go backstage.
Yeah,
because they were afraid that we would take a picture and you'd see a scroll in the background.
That whiteboard. I want to see that whiteboard and how they are trying to tie this. I always want to see the whiteboard. Let's be honest, but I really want to see it now and see like how the fuck do you think A is going to go to B is going to go to C, because it does not make sense. Yeah. So Sharon Carter was a good call though. Like that could have been something to at least tie it together. Feels like a little more stakes. They still, even if they had done that, Secret Invasion would have still been completely boned though, right?
Yeah.
You can agree on that?
Yeah. I just think it would have been less cheap than Rhodey. Felt like they just did Rhodey for the sake of doing Rhodey.
Yeah.
The final montage though, I liked. I thought the final montage was cool with the paranoia with someone running up to a politician and like shooting her while she's giving a press conference, even though she's not a Skrull. I was like, this should have been the vibe of the show.
I called it Order 66 for Skrulls. Like I kind of liked how that just all came out. You had vigilantes, and like they said, you have vigilantes killing Skrulls. R.I.P. my dog Shooter McGavin, by the way.
I know. They had to kill him off too.
Yeah. You have people killing people that they think are Skrulls, but they're human. So then you have that paranoia side. And then you have the Skrulls killing all the fucking humans that are trying to kill them. So that was fucking awesome. That little bit of the show, they could have extrapolated, put more of that kind of vibes into the show, along with some more reveals. And I don't think it's asking too much to have really, like, I don't think it would have been asking too much to do a couple things that could have fixed it and made it like perfectly fine. They just kept killing Maria Hill. That was the thing. What do? Kill Colby Smulders again. You gotta fucking pay her agent. And I don't think she died this episode. Did we see her die?
They didn't show the recap this episode. No.
She didn't make
and I noticed that she didn't get the credits. Martin Freeman did. He was the first one to get it. But the final montage was great. I thought when they actually shoot Rhodey in the head, I was like, whoa, fuck, that was like violent. They show you shooting him through the skull. Yeah. So I thought that was cool. I'm trying to think of any other like positives. Keeping Olivia Colman alive, like I mentioned. Other than that, with the finale, I mean, they kept it short, I guess, short and sweet. But yeah.
So I liked seeing some of the power. Like when Gaia Eternity had the Mantis thing came out, I liked that. I was like, oh, Mantis, you're here. Hey, what's up, Mantis? Sleep. He goes down. But then all the different arms was so fucking stupid.
And I get it, like with the Fantastic Four thing. Oh, you got a couple tweets. Yeah. I got a couple tweets about that at least. Like, you know, the Super Skrull has the power of all four Fantastic Four members, so it should be. But you're telling me Captain Marvel was taking down that ship in Endgame. Like, if you could do that, but you're also Hulk, but you're also Mantis, but you're also the Ice Giant, but you're also like too much, just a little too much.
They could have,
in the words of Rocky Raccoon, it's a bit much.
It's a bit much. Yep. They could have easily actually probably have been all right if they didn't have Captain Marvel there. And you still have the Hulk, which it would have been hard to say, but like Captain Marvel, she showed up for like, she was in there in like the middle of the 8th inning. She didn't come anywhere near. So it's like, I know Thanos, like, beat her up a little bit, but you could say, oh, didn't get any of her DNA. She's,
And are they going to talk about that? Like he took his friend's DNA without her consent? Oh, it's a little weird.
Ooh, that's going to be the thing that ends up taking him down is the consent of DNA stuff. Good call, Bob. Good call.
Shocked that the president survived, by the way. But
Yes.
Fury gave him that line where it was a little corny to me, where you're a one-term president. Like, yeah, we get it. Someone's next.
Yeah, Harrison's coming in. We know it. So again, we're like, oh, president's dead meat because Harrison Ford's coming in. Nope. He basically tells you he's going to lose the election to Harrison Ford, which I'm now thinking the election will be during the Captain America stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I think is how it's all going to take place. It'll go like one of them. That's just my guess.
And like, cool if we're gonna see like a campaign from Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross. Like, that would be cool in my eyes, but I don't. It's another thing that makes this show feel like it's just never gonna be referenced, because it's like, oh, we're in the same spot we were beforehand. The same guy's president. I guess he just hates Skrulls now, but he's gonna be out of office anyway. So
he's a real meanie too. Yeah, he pissed Fury off. He's like, "What the fuck was that, man?" He's like, "I saved your life, and you just went in on them." And poor, like, I guess kind of just shows Talos. He fought for all this, and it just didn't make a goddamn difference, even if he saved the goddamn president's life, I guess. I mean, if you think about it, the president almost died from Skrulls and was saved by a Skrull, and that didn't just like wipe it clean in his mind. He was like, nope, must be all bad, because even though the guy who saved my life was a Skrull and gave his life in the middle of doing so.
They better reference him in the Marvels. They better have a little reference. Say his fucking name. I don't care how you pronounce it. Just say that name.
I was going through my notes looking for some more positives that I'd written down. I don't think I saw any. But I did this. You mentioned it before, and I just have to say it again. That Gravik Fury scene was actually kind of cool. You could feel the gravity come out with it. And the Gravik actor, I'm telling you, he's fucking awesome. He's in Barbie. If you guys didn't see Barbie, he's great in Barbie too. And, he's kind of just a background cam, but he's great. They do that scene and you're like, oh shit, like that was fucking like emotional. And he did it all to not Nick Fury. So he poured his heart out, and it wasn't even Nick Fury at the end. Ah! What are we doing? What are we doing?
All right. Let's move on from Secret Invasion, because this is just gonna.
I got one more good thing.
One more? Okay. Okay. One more good thing to end on.
Someone said it. This is now in the realm of possibilities in the MCU. We are or can get Olivia Colman and Julia Louis-Dreyfus having a showdown.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
Sass off. We're gonna have a Olivia Colman, Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
A civil war. They each put a team together. Oh, give us that. But
build behind Olivia Colman.
You have to nerf Gaia immediately. Like, the only thing you could do with Gaia's character is introduce a weakness at this point, because otherwise she'll kill Doctor Strange, the Hulk, and Thor in one quick swoop.
She has to be like the aliens from Signs that are allergic to water. They try to take over Earth, and they realize they're allergic to water, which was, again, like this, like that was the dumbest fucking twist in the history of movies. Shout out M. Night Shyamalan. So
they might throw in like a Baby Yoda type thing with her, where she could, get into a fight, but then she's got to take a nap for a sec.
I like that. There we go. She's just passes out. He was so cute when he did that. Throw Baby Yoda in the show. Fuck it. Like, you can't get mad when Baby Yoda's in the show. The Mando had a couple of speed bumps along the way, and Baby Yoda was there to kind of cover them all up. Maybe Gaia, something happens with her. She explodes. I don't know. And then like people just wake up, and I'm like, oh, I can. Like, this guy, Scott, he just like shoots lasers out of his eyes. Don't know how that happened. Oh, this girl, Jean, she has like these psychic powers. Xavier, he has psychic powers too. Just make her the birth of the X-Men. I don't fucking know.
I'm not here for the big bang of Gaia. Whoa, that sounded wrong.
Whoa,
that sounded really wrong.
There's our hashtag.
That you could watch that in
Gaia.
Game of Thrones. I'm not here for that introduction of the X-Men. Let's talk to the people about C4, WWE and C4. I've got it right here. I've been drinking it during the podcast. I poured it into my WWE cup here. But I've got the Ruthless Raspberry, the Berry Power Bomb. I told you last time, they've been sponsoring the podcast for a while, that they are a partner of the WWE. Now they actually have WWE flavors. And if you're looking to put a little friggin' bulk on, you're looking to put a little muscle on, look at this. The ultimate WWE C4 pre-workout. So this is awesome. It's got the Nectarine Guava Knockout, 20 servings of it for 20 friggin' pumps. Like Arnold, you get the pump. You ever see that old Arnold documentary? Get the pump in. I love getting the pump in. So I got to go to C4 for my ultimate pre-workout and the ultimate energy drink. We're recording this early in the morning. By early, I mean 9:45 a.m. And I need the energy that early. WWE superstar and street prophet Montez Ford said C4 and WWE go together like peanut butter and jelly. I agree. And this combination will allow you to unleash your ultimate undisputed performance. It's a supercharged formula of 300 milligrams of caffeine that consumers love, so you can work hard and play hard without missing a beat. Available in 2 flavors, like I told you. You've got the Ruthless Raspberry here, and you've got the Berry Power Bomb over here. You've also got the pre-workout available in a couple flavors: Nectarine Guava Knockout, Bare Knuckle Blood Orange, and Pomegranate Pile Driver. Just sounds badass.
I like that.
Honestly,
That's
it's
my
like
favorite.
the Barbie movie with the Kens when they're all like discovering Rocky and they're like, dudes fucking rock. That's what this sounds like to me. C4 Ultimate Energy is the official energy drink of SummerSlam this year, and C4 Ultimate and WWE collaboration is now available exclusively at GNC. I'm going to SummerSlam this year, as I mentioned, bringing the nephew, me and my brother, bringing the 9-year-old nephew who's obsessed with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns in the main event. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. We just got good seats with Game Time. Shout out to them. But I wanted to, in the spirit of that, in the spirit of C4 sponsoring us, sponsoring SummerSlam, tell you about one of my favorite SummerSlam moments that you might be familiar with, but I doubt you know the details of. SummerSlam 2005. So I would assume that a little after your time
It's
watching
close.
wrestling,
It's
right?
very close. I might have dabbled. So yeah, let's hear it.
Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio in a ladder match for the custody of Rey's son, Dominic.
Definitely did not see this. That's the best part about wrestling. You never know what's coming in like a match. It's a Mad Libs every time.
That was an absolute Mad Libs, and this is the ultimate Mad Libs. So obviously you know Rey and Eddie, right?
Yes,
like
of course. Yeah.
legends. If you
was
don't,
he Latino Heat at this point, or was Latino Heat over with?
this is Latino Heat. Yeah.
Heat.
Eddie and Rey, if you don't know, if you're not a wrestling fan, 2 guys that started their career in Mexico in the 90s. They both wrestled for AAA, which is like a huge company in Mexico, introduced to America in 1995 when Paul Heyman brings them to ECW. They kind of rise through the ranks together as friends, fan favorites, and Eddie is Dominic's godfather outside of the ring. So everyone knows that they're actually like boys outside the ring. Eddie jumps to WWE in 2000. Rey comes in 2002, a couple years later. And Rey's always portrayed as a family guy on screen. He has Dominic on his shoulders as he wins his first title in the WWE Cruiserweight title. Eddie and Rey then win the tag titles together in late 2004, early 2005. And at that year's WrestleMania, they have a friendly exhibition.
Did they have a team name?
I think they were just Eddie and Rey. I'm pretty sure. They might have been Latino Heat.
I just love when they have a good team name. You know, I love the Rock and Sock connection. Even if they're 2 individual wrestlers and then they get a name, I always love stuff like that.
I love that. You know what I always loved too? When they would combine theme songs. If like wrestlers got a mashup of themes once they joined a tag team, I love that. But after the friendly exhibition at WrestleMania 21, Eddie turns on Rey, of course. And Eddie says, I'm going to reveal a huge family secret about you, Rey Mysterio. Everyone is pleading with Eddie, even Eddie's family on screen. Please don't do this, Eddie. It's not worth it, you know? So the families get involved and they say, let's have a match to settle this. If Rey wins, the secret is safe. If Eddie wins, you get to reveal the secret. So they have the match at the Great American Bash. Rey wins. So the secret is safe. Huge moment for the Mysterio family. They're crying. They're hugging each other. You got to know 3 things about Eddie Guerrero. He lies, he cheats, and he steals. He lied. So he just revealed the secret anyway. And this is the secret. Eddie and his wife, while they were separated, Rey and his wife were having trouble having a baby. This girl came to Eddie Guerrero with a baby and said, Eddie, this is your bastard son. And he said, I don't want anything to do with that baby. But he took the baby anyway, and he gave it to Rey and his wife to raise. And that baby's Dominic.
Wow. That is some hardcore WWE writing right there.
This is 7-year-old Bob Fox watching this. 7 years old, my mind is blown and I'm terrified. And I'm like, is this going to happen to me one day where Child Protective Services come into play and they, get custody papers involved and they take Dominic away and they're like, listen, the only way to solve this is obviously a ladder match where the contract hangs in the balance and the custody papers hang in the balance. So at SummerSlam 2005, they had a ladder match with a clipboard literally hanging with the custody papers that you could sign. Eddie's wife, Vicky, in the front row, Ray's wife, Ray's kid, Dominic, in the front row as well. And like they get involved. Dominic jumps into the ring, tries to shake the ladder while Eddie's on it. Vicky comes and tips the ladder while Eddie's on it because even Eddie's wife is like, you're crazy. I don't want anything to do with this. In the end, Ray wins. Huge moment. I was hugging my family, like thanking God for Ray's family. And now Dominic Mysterio is in the WWE. He wrestled against Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania last year. He'll be at SummerSlam this year. He's in the Judgment Day. He's kind of like a shit heel now, but he has more heat than maybe anyone in the company. It's great.
Really? That much?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's rocking an Eddie Guerrero mullet as well in like tribute to Eddie.
Nice. That's a great moment right there. 7-year-old Bob Fox. I mean, some of the family issues come out. Like I remember back when I was around that age, that was when Macho Man and Elizabeth were going through their issues and all that kind of stuff. So that's awesome. I actually have a SummerSlam moment. You want to hear my SummerSlam moment?
Oh, please. Yes.
As soon as you said SummerSlam, I immediately like two things. First of all, Highway to Hell, Stone Cold, Undertaker. You heard that song so many times building up to it. And
it was Garden.
And it went to the Garden, obviously. And just, I don't even remember anything of the match. I just remember the build up to it was so incredible. But the big SummerSlam match, as soon as you said SummerSlam, my mind went there. And it was probably one of the first SummerSlams I had watched. 1990 SummerSlam, 8-year-old Clem, this was. And it was Earthquake versus Hulk Hogan. And I'm a diehard Hogan guy. And I was watching it with my family. I still remember we called up the cable company to get the pay-per-view. It was it was the first, I did the call. I heard like the little, okay, you're now, blah, blah, blah. You can now watch SummerSlam 1990. And it pops up on the screen. You have your snacks out. All the boys are there with their dads. It was beautiful. And my boy was there, my boy Joe Lightning, as I've called him, because he always had Lightning in Mario Kart because he was so bad at it. And we're just diehard Hulkamaniacs. We have the shirts. We're eating our prayers, saying our vitamins.
Eating your prayers.
Listen to this. And we're saying our prayers, eating our vitamins. And Earthquake, just, somehow Earthquake, who's just this big dude, a unit.
He has a skullet.
You don't think
the mullet, but he's bald on top.
Skullet. Yep, that's the verb we put it. Like,
which Hogan had as well, I guess, and so
yes,
did Macho Man. Some of the best wrestlers ever rocked skullets.
That's basically like how you get into wrestling, I think, is to have a skullet. And I'm like, there's no way Earthquake's gonna even touch Hogan. Hogan's it's the big show. He's gonna show up, blah blah blah. And somehow, some way, Earthquake has the upper hand. Who would have thought? And he does the Earthquake, which people don't know. The opponent would be down in the middle of the ring. He would start jumping on the ring saying the Earthquake splash is coming. And he just kept doing the Earthquake splash, which is he runs off the ropes and just puts his big ass right on him. And he keeps doing it. And my buddy Joe Lightning goes, we got to get out of here. He's going to kill him. He's going to kill him. And we're just two Hulkamaniacs that think we're about to watch our idol just get killed on screen. And I was like, I can't leave, but I was ready to. And Joe Lightning left the room, and obviously,
just because a fat guy keeps sitting on him.
Fat guy keeps sitting on him, and you know what happens?
Die.
He hulks up again. Blocks a punch, shakes no, hits him, big leg drop, 1, 2, 3, and that was like. Not only did my hero win, my hero survived. He survived. Oh, yeah. It was unbelievable to this day. That's like honestly, when wrestling means its most to you. That is what I think of, is when I thought Hulk Hogan was going to be flattened to a pancake by Earthquake's ass.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. I don't know if it's SummerSlam 1990, if it's that match, or if it's different, if it's a rematch of Earthquake and Hogan. But there's an all-time like chair shot in one of those matches to Earthquake's back, I think, right after he takes like a horrible shot. It's so funny, though. Me and my brother would rewatch it over and over and over again. Earthquake and Typhoon, the Natural Disasters. That's an all-time tag team.
Great team name of two individuals. Great team name. Jimmy Mouth of the South. And that's always what people say. It's like me, Eddie, are the Natural Disasters, and Dave's are Jimmy Hart on the Dozen.
I love that. Shout out Jimmy Hart, by the way. He has looked the exact same for my entire lifetime. he has not changed.
I actually just had a conversation the other day if Jimmy Hart was still alive, because it's like been forever.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like no spring chicken back in the day either. You know, like he didn't look old, but I guess he still doesn't look old. So shout out to him.
No, he looks the exact same. Picture Jimmy Hart the way you remember him. That's how he looks right now.
Jimmy Hart is, oh my God, born 1944. Shout out Jimmy Hart, man. 79 years old, from Jackson, Mississippi. I had asked this question. I didn't think it was. I was like, he's not related to the Hart brothers, right? And he is not. He's not part of that. But that would have been amazing if he was like the runt of the Harts, where everyone else being wrestlers.
Yeah.
Like, Jimmy, you're going to be a manager. You don't really have like what it takes to be a wrestler.
You just got the hair.
Yeah,
the poof. All right, that was my mom's basement for this week. I'm glad we could bring the vibes up with some good SummerSlam memories at the end.
Thank you, C4.
Thank you,
needed.
C4. And I think for the next week, we'll have a couple more SummerSlam memories before the pay-per-view itself. So appreciate C4 for sponsoring the pod and at least bringing the vibes up after we recapped a not so great Marvel finale. But you know what? Now we've got some time off between the next show and this show. Next show for us will be Ahsoka. We're finally going to do that Boogie Nights podcast.
Yes, let's go.
So maybe next week. Why not?
Yeah. If there's nothing, I don't think there's anything else in the meantime. So yeah, let's rock and roll with that.
Next week we'll do Boogie Nights.
What was the hashtag? Something Gaia, explosion of Gaia, or what was it?
I think it was like Gaia getting banged or something. Gaia getting pounded. What did I say? It was something bad.
Big Bang. Like the way it came Big Bang of Gaia. Big Bang of Gaia.
Big Bang of Gaia. Yeah, that's gross. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Go watch Boogie Nights. That's your homework. We'll be talking about it on the show next week.